Hello, Dolis. How are you doing?
Hi, Mahang. I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. Thanks for taking time and coming to our channel to discuss and enlighten us.
Pleasure is mine.
Okay, good. So let's start with a quick introduction of yours.
Okay. So I'm DOLIS Sharma, and basically I'm based in Pune. So I've done my electronics and telecommunication from Solapur, and I was joined as an intern graduate in BMC software.
Mhm.
Right now, I'm working as a DevOps engineer in NIRMATA. So that's about me.
Good, good. So at Nirmata, what technology do you work on? Like within DevOps, what stuff do you deal with on day-to-day basis?
On day-to-day basis, it's mostly everything related to Kubernetes and Kubernetes ecosystem.
Mhm.
Mm, then cloud also comes into the picture. So it's AWS, Azure, Google Clouds, then
Mhm.
technologies related to Kubernetes and Kubernetes ecosystem. So you can
Okay.
say mainly around that.
All Kubernetes stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good. So how much is your overall experience at this point?
At this point, I've completed my 2.5 year around
Mm.
15 to 20 days back.
Okay.
So yeah, I
Mm.
just have an experience of 2.5 years.
Okay. Good. Let's talk about this. So you said that you did your BTech in electronics and telecommunication, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay. And you are working as a DevOps engineer in Nirmata. For
right.
those of our viewers who are not aware of this, Nirmata is a product-based company. They do have managed Kubernetes solution.
Right.
So now the point is, what we would like to understand is that how did you get into learning Kubernetes, cloud, all of this stuff? Like, uh, um, okay, first let's break this down. So when did you start learning cloud and Kubernetes? Till that time. When did you start
Okay.
learning this part?
So initially, I was an intern graduate in BMC software. So it took me around, like, I didn't start it from the day I started working. It took me around a year, or I can say fairly more than a year, to understand what exactly the technology is, what exactly the culture is, how things work over here, because I was not from an IT or from computer branch. So it took me time to visualize and to understand more about how things work here. After that, after a year, I started having interest in Kubernetes and cloud, and I did had some projects in the past which had the Kubernetes infrastructure into the picture. So from there, Kubernetes was introduced, and also cloud like AWS was introduced. And I started developing some sort of interest into that. And then I thought I'll just start learning about it, reading about it. And from there, the journey started. So you can say around 1.5 year, I
Hmm.
started
So
learning, reading, and all that kind of stuff.
so that time,
Mhm.
whatever you said now, is it that you were allocated some work to, you were allocated some work that you should go and do on Kubernetes or cloud because of that you started doing it, or you just got a flavor of it and even without having an active assignment, you thought that I should learn this thing?
Um, Kubernetes was mostly involved because we had our customers back then which were deployed in Kubernetes. So, yeah, I had more exposure towards Kubernetes. But
Mhm.
when I talk about AWS Cloud, I didn't had many projects or many things to do around there because I was just a start. So I didn't had many projects, like
Hmm.
a lot of things I'm actually involved in, or a lot of responsibilities or big projects, kind of that thing. So, but I wanted to understand how the cloud work. I wanted to learn about how you can take the technology to a new level, because I knew that virtualization is coming to an end and it's all about containerization and Kubernetes nowadays. But how that works in cloud, that's what I wanted
Hmm.
to understand. So I just thought I'll pick one cloud and I'll see how it works, because all the cloud in the backend are somewhere same. It's
Mhm.
it's it's somewhere connected, like they're same. So
Mhm.
I thought that I'll choose some one cloud, and I'll start learning about it, and from there I'll start understanding how it works. So I took
Mm.
AWS in the start, and I started exploring everything, and from there the interest built in, and then I
Mhm.
started learning about it.
Okay. Well, you said that part really good, that instead of waiting for a long time, you thought that let us pick one and try to explore that, right?
Right.
So, uh, tell us something about, the scenarios or the problems or the roadblocks which you would have faced while doing that initial kickstart of your learning, right? Can you tell us about like some problem which you faced and what did you do to solve that? Because the reason why I'm asking that question is, uh, you are having 1.5 years of experience currently, and then you're working on a couple of good technologies which people are talking a lot these days.
Mhm.
So I would assume that you learned it to a decent level. That's why another product based company hired you, right?
Right.
So that being the case, I'm trying to just understand here that in the last 1.5 years, when you started on this, what problems did you face initially in your learning, and what strategy did you take to kind of solve that?
So initially, I thought that what I started doing was I started reading a lot of AWS related documents or uh, articles, videos which are related to AWS. So I just thought that why not I give the entry level certification like the cloud practitioner. From there, at least I'll have something to look forward to, because what how actually it works for me is if I don't have any exam or any certification or anything to look forward,
Hmm.
I don't prepare. Like I
Hmm.
feel like, for what am I studying? I don't have any project to do on this. I don't have any exam to give. So that's what I thought, that it works for me and it will push me. It will give me that motivation to study and to learn more. So I thought that I'll just go for an entry level exam. From there, I'll understand that should I go more into this or should I choose some other cloud or some other technology. Just exploring my, like, what am I interested in. That's what I was just trying to do. So I opted for the cloud practitioner certification and I started preparing for that. So initially, what used to happen was, I used to go. Initially, I was just preparing. I was just reading. I didn't even made any account in Amazon console. So I thought that will work for me. But later on in that way, I understand that it's not about most about knowledge. It's about skills. So then I created an account and all that kind of thing. But initially it was a bit, I struggled a bit to understand how it works. I used to struggle to roll in an EC2 instance, or like i used to I used to struggle a bit in the console to
Hmm.
actually do the stuff and be on the same page with the instructor. But as you learn, you become more comfortable. It's
Hmm.
just the initial phase that you're struggling. You just need to have patience, and then later on it becomes, you just become more comfortable. So later on, I was good with it, and then I developed an interest in that, and then it worked for me.
Hmm. Okay. So you talked about this thing about creating an AWS account and then going ahead and trying out things. But what we are seeing nowadays that there are a lot of people who are able to go ahead and do certification even without creating any AWS account,
Yeah, yeah.
right? DOLIS. So you said that you started learning Kubernetes and cloud like 1.5 years back. So before that, how was your college like? Like you said that you did your BTech from an electrical branch and then you got into PMC. So what was the plan and how did you get into this IT job?
So back then, I had a different plan, I can say. When I was doing my electronics and telecommunication, I had more interest in the hardware technologies and something like circuits and all kind of thing. So I remember that I had few languages in my curriculums, but I didn't actually did that to that interest, like I'll pursue them as a career or something. So I was more inclined towards the hardware technologies, and other subjects which were related to circuits and all that.
Mhm.
Coming along third year, I just thought that I'll go for a government examination or government service. So I started preparing for that from third and fourth year. So entire the engineering campus selection and looking for a job, all that thing, I just cut myself out from there, and I was like, I want to go and prepare for a
You
government
skipped it
examination.
completely, is it? You skipped it completely.
Yeah. There were few which was made compulsory by a college, so I have to go
Mhm.
there and I have to sit. But I was not hustling like my other friends were. Like, it's a
Mhm.
campus, companies are coming, and you need to really brush your skills and everything. I was like, I want to go into a government services related job, so I'll study there. So I started studying and giving my entire focus towards that. Even after my engineering, I actually took a year gap so that I
Mhm.
can just put on my full concentration and focus over there. And I even gave two examination for SSC SSC and all that kind of examination related to that syllabus. And then it didn't work out for me. It was like I was not doing well, and I was frustrated, and I was like, okay, like I thought that it's just not working out for me. So
Mhm.
after a year, I thought that let's find a job, and then along with the job I can anyway do, because I've already completed my studies and syllabus, so I can appear for the exam. I just wait one more year for the
Mhm.
next year examination. So this was the strategy, and that's the reason I just start looking for a job, and I got selected in BMC software as an intern. So initially, I was struggling a lot, I can say, because I was
Mhm.
from a hardware field, and I was used to see the resistance and capacitance and everything. Over here, you can't see the network. Everything is visualized. So
Mhm.
it took me a while to understand how it works. And when I got a laptop from BMC, it was my first machine. I didn't even had any laptop in my college days. So I remember once what happened was, there's a drive which actually works in your laptop. So it takes a backup of all your data in case your machine gets crashed up. So
Mhm.
there was a time, like second day, I think, when I got my laptop and it was the second day of my job, it paused, and I got a pop-up saying that the drive has been paused. And I thought I did
Mhm.
something. I was that new. I thought I really did. I missed something. And I'm telling to my colleague that, can you see, did I do something wrong here? I was that new over here. So, so it was hard. It took me a while to understand the culture, to understand. I just came out from college very fresh, very raw. So it took me a while to understand how the business over here works, how the culture is, what I'm supposed to do, what what kind of work I'm supposed to do, how am I supposed to grow. So
Mhm.
yeah, around a year it took me a while to adapt into this, and then after that it
And
went
then
well.
by the end of it, you started understanding software part as well,
Yes,
apart from
yes,
the hardware thing.
exactly. I what I did was, I thought, I gave it a thought that I'm actually afraid of this because I don't know much of it, and I don't know how it works. So I'll do my work, whatever the work is assigned to me. But before that, let me understand how it works. Let me understand, when I hit the URL, where does it go? When I'm connecting to that VPN, when I just go to my organization, first thing I do is I connect to the VPN. What actually I'm doing? What's a VPN there? What I'm connecting actually to? Why my URL?
A
Why?
lot of people think that's wastage of time
No, no,
trying to
no,
understand
no.
all of that.
I'll tell you, I started from IP. Um, Someone told me that this IP address. I was like, what is an IP address, first of all? Like, I'll do the work, but in my mind, somewhere I was like, what? I questioned everything, like, why, what, with all my questions. I used to trouble a lot of my colleagues asking many stupid questions, but but I used to
Actually,
question.
most of these things, like the examples which you are giving, a person who studies at least, let's say, in computer science or in IT, they do study all of this in their
Mhm,
syllabus. But the
mhm,
problem is, most of them don't understand that even after studying that in their syllabus. So
Yeah.
their situation is also the same, as in a, like if you relate it with the situation in which you were there.
Hmm.
But I guess many of them do not take that approach, that at least the tools which we are using on day to day basis,
Hmm.
what is how does that tool really work,
Right.
what's the technology behind that. And it is really good to hear that you thought that you should actually learn those things. Of course, you can go ahead and use VPN even without understanding that what is happening at the back. I mean,
Yeah.
it is just a process which you have to follow every day on your laptop. You need not understand what happens at the back end, but then it's good that you thought of understanding that. That's really nice. So let's try and discuss on this thing. This is somewhat related to this. You said that you started learning Kubernetes and cloud. So for someone who is getting started on learning these new technologies, and that too in a time like today, uh, everybody, you see, we all know that everybody wants to learn this thing, right? If you see LinkedIn, it is filled with posts and questions and
Hmm.
people trying to
Hmm.
motivate others how to learn stuff and everything. So I would like to ask you that, in your learning of these technologies in the last 1.5 years, uh, what do you think that you did right, which actually which actually made a difference, or helped you really understand stuff on Kubernetes or cloud? What did you do right?
I think what things I've done right is there are a few to talk about, but I'll start from initially. I made a lot of mistakes. The right thing is I made a lot of mistakes. Okay, so
Yes.
I was new and I was making a lot of mistake in the start. But the thing is, I was open to make like I was open to understand that I made a mistake. I used to accept it that
Mhm.
okay, I've made a mistake, and I used to learn from it. So I used to make sure that I don't make it second or the third time. Like I
Mhm.
should never make the same mistake third time. Like not
Yeah,
even
let's
second
do
time.
let's do a new one. Let's do a new one
No,
next
no,
time,
no.
right? I mean, of course,
Yeah,
we
you
should
can.
do new
Of course.
mistakes. We should
Yes,
not be
yes,
repeating the mistake. I mean,
exactly.
the reason why I'm saying that is a lot of people I talk to,
Mhm.
they do not even go and attempt, right?
Yeah,
Just with
yeah.
the
That's
fear
that's
that it will go wrong. So it is okay. Whatever you are
exactly,
saying, that's
exactly.
really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but you should be open to that mistake. When you go into the process of making excuse or talking about
Mhm.
why did you made a mistake, you actually don't accept that you made a mistake, you will not learn from it. So you should accept it. You should be open that okay, I made a mistake here, but I'm open to learn, so I'll learn and I'll make sure I don't make it twice. So that was one thing. The second thing was being new. You should have a lot of questions. You should ask questions. You should, something is given to you, something, a work is assigned to you. You should just not do it. Like you should ask questions and you should try to understand from your side. You should google them. You get a lot of things online nowadays. You don't even have to ask. You can watch a video while working. If you have any question like what exactly is an IP or what is a DNS, what NS lookup I'm doing over here, what is NS lookup. Some of my
Mhm.
colleague told me that you do NS lookup and see if it is reflected. What exactly am I doing? What does NS lookup do? Some one of my colleague told me that why don't you change, if it is not reflected, you change in the host file the entry and just try to make it work. So I was like, okay, what I'm
What is
doing
the
right now?
functionality of
What
host
is
file
the
here?
exactly? So sometimes you can't ask so many questions because even all are working and they won't be that available to answer you. So you can
Mhm.
google these things. These basic things can be googled. You can google. I used to carry a book and a pen with me because I know that I'll forget. So I used to
Mhm.
write it down, and this is the things that I learned. And I used to go to my seniors with the same book and pencil, and I used to say that, sir, I'm not understanding this architect. Can you explain me? So
Mhm.
these are the efforts you need to take. And when you acknowledge, when you learn, and they'll acknowledge that okay, you're learning, they'll also help you out. So you need to
mm,
question everything, the basic thing, start from basic thing, because over there you are like a baby.
mm,
And when you're a baby, you make sure that your immunity system is very strong so that you go a long way. So work on that immunity system. Don't think that, okay, I should be having large scale projects. You should know small basic things first. You are new. So don't aim for some big dreams, just aim
mm,
small and achieve it. And then step by step, gradually, you will make it. Believe in yourself, you'll make it. But that's the small thing I did. Yeah.
mm. So I think that is an important one, which where you stressed upon making sure that you understand these day-to-day small things which which come
Mhm,
in your work. Now, of course, uh, if if a person goes through a systematic training of a
mhm,
particular technology, person would know
mhm,
things related to it. But then, uh, in the type of environment which we work these days, things
mhm.
change so fast, and
Right.
companies expect you to come and start delivering things so quickly. Uh,
Mhm,
on the ground, it doesn't happen that everybody gets a lot of sweet time for training. And even if
mhm,
person gets some time for training, the quality of training, all of us know that what would be the quality rate. It
mhm,
would not be really that great. So I think the point which you mentioned, that a person who is getting started should be eager to learn all those small things which we deal with each and every day. That's very important. And I think learning part, I mean, that doesn't just apply only to somebody who's new. Even those who are seniors, they should do that. But I think many of the times what I've seen, while interacting with a lot of new people, is that they want to ask question, but they want someone to come and answer that, and they do not put effort in
yeah,
going and finding out the answer themselves,
yeah.
right? So the thing which I'm trying to understand here is, uh, whatever you learned in the last 1.5 years, was there someone who just explained you everything? And if there is a one,
No.
that angel, then it is great. If it is not, then how important does it become,
Mhm.
for someone to constantly try and learn? How important does it become, and how do you sustain it, right? How do you sustain that learning continuously? How do you make sure that you are learning every day?
You just need to be curious about each and everything. There are a lot of things which you can learn, but you need to be
Mhm,
very curious. Like if you see something in on LinkedIn or any social media platform, you should
mhm,
ask like, okay, what is it? Let me go, let me read. You should be curious to learn. That's the first thing. You'll have that learning graph. Like it will grow if you have that curiosity in you to learn. And the thing you said, that a lot of thing doesn't ask any question, or they want others to answer them. I've seen that there are a few people who think that things will be the person will understand, and you don't even need to question them, they'll come and answer you. Like this is what it comes from. Even I used to do it. Like we all do it. Like initially we all do it. Like we don't make that kind of efforts. What happened, I can say, is like it happened to me when I was in engineering. Do you remember during those exam times, just before those, used to get notes from the Xerox
mhm,
center? There was one Xerox center, and we used to go in and stand in a line, and because
mhm,
we are so much used to that spoon feeding. Like someone should come and should give us the notes, someone should come and tell us the syllabus, your professors and your teachers should be on your back, your mother and your parents should be on your back. So we are used to that. So when the juniors come out, or when even I came out, I thought that over here it will work the same way. My colleagues, my manager, my team are supposed to educate me. They'll come, they'll come and they will teach me, as it happened in my
mhm,
college. So it's a culture difference. It's you need to understand. That's what you should take your time and understand what actually was back there in college, and over here what kind of business you are involved in. So then you'll understand that, okay, nobody's going to help me. You have to make effort, and then you have to break that habit, because over there
Mm.
you you studied from those notes, you gave the exam, but now do you remember the subjects? You don't even remember the names. We
Yeah,
have learned
that's
40 subjects. Do you remember if I'll tell you that, okay, Mayank, let's name the 40 subjects? We won't even able to do that. But we have given the examination. The approach was wrong. We need to
mm,
understand that we should break that and start with a good new approach. So you made a mistake, or you made something that was not supposed to do. We should learn from it and then try it in a different way. So if we'll do that,
mhm.
I think we'll be pretty good.
It will work, right?
It
So
will
I
work.
think the one of the points which you said, that while people come out of college, and this is more for all of those guys who are who are coming out of college recently, or they are
Hmm.
maybe in the starting days of their career.
Hmm.
It is an important thing for them to understand that nobody is just there to guide you. Nobody is just uh, you know getting up in the morning with that as the sole purpose, that I'll go and make sure that
Yeah,
every junior is all helped, and
right.
in that way. Rather, the onus lies on you, where you
Hmm.
have to make sure that uh, that I approach people. Like I should do something, and then probably if I show that, maybe other person would also be interested in helping me,
Right,
right?
right.
So that is a real good thing. So you recently passed your AWS Solution Architect exam as well,
Yeah.
right? Why did you give that exam?
I gave that exam because I completed my solution, cloud practitioner, the first one, and that was basically an overview of all the services. It was not a deep dive. It was just like what AWS do, what are the best practice, what is cloud, what are the services, what is an EC2 instance. It was very basic and an overview level examination. So after that, I thought that it's good. It's kind of, I started thinking, like, I started questioning why. Like, if you're rolling an EC2 instance, what it does in the back end, and how, like, I started, and I wanted to understand it in a more better way, because
Mhm.
I can't, I don't have a full knowledge with just cloud practitioner. So I thought that I'll just dig deep. So I was understanding the three examination: the associate level, the developer, the sysops, and the architect level. And I went to the syllabus of architect level and I saw that the services are pretty good, and I developed and like, okay, I can do this. So I opted that. Now how things work for me is, if I don't schedule any exam, or that's something, it works for me, because I think
Mhm.
it's in habit from my college days or something. Because how engineers are I think everyone is, until unless the exam doesn't come, you don't study.
You don't.
So I, yeah, you don't, if there is nothing to look forward, if there is any something that you need to look forward, then you study. It works for me. So I thought,
Mhm.
now why not just make it like an opportunity? I work this way. So I thought, let me schedule one that will give me the motivation to study and to understand it more better. So I did that. I took my time, though. I was not in a rush to complete. If you'll take the gap, if you'll see the gap between the the first one and the second one, it was around 7-8 months. So I took a good amount of time to understand it. Like, I was in the middle, I was also working on different technologies, or I was just exploring some other products, but I took my time to understand it. I just didn't went and did I just mugged up the white papers and then just thought I will appear. I I went to the console. I did the practicals. I took my
Mm.
time. I understood. I tried understanding the concepts very nicely, and then I gave an exam. So
Mm. So 7-8 months. That's a long time. People are nowadays, they complete 3 associate certifications in 1 month. And that's the
yeah,
speed. But you
yeah,
are
yeah.
taking so much time.
I took my time. I took my time. It's just a journey. I wanted to enjoy it. I don't wanted to rush into some kind of, in a race
Mm.
or something like that. So I studied for 4 months, 3 or 4 months, like continuously, I can say. But I took my time. I was just enjoying the journey, that okay, this is a
mm,
new service, let me go here, let me read a little bit, let me see this video, let me go to the documentation side, let me roll in something. Then I used to explore the console. I also got a big bill from there. I thought it's free tier, so I rolled it, I just kept it over there. So yeah, in the way I made some mistake, I learned, and it was a nice journey. I was not very much into I should get that certification, that is my goal. No, I was enjoying that period of learning, so
mm.
that's why I
So
went
so
this way.
that means you see you did not do certification thinking that after doing the certification your salary will increase or you will be able to change your job. I mean
No,
you did not think about those things, is it?
no, I don't think so. That works that way. Uh, Certification has nothing to do with the skills, I can say. If
Mm-hmm.
it would be, there are so many engineers who actually have a certification. Everybody should have
Yeah.
great opportunities. So that's what I said. You had all the mistakes done in the past. We should try with and come up with a good approach now. Certifications, a piece of paper will never be recognized as a like. You should have skills. You cannot just rely on the piece of paper. It's at the end a piece of paper.
Mm. Okay. Let's talk a bit about LinkedIn.
Okay.
So now that you are certified, I'm sure you would be getting a lot of queries from people. And I did notice that you had lot of likes and comments because you passed the certification. So can you, of course, without taking anybody's name, can you tell us some of the common questions which you get from people uh, around cloud or whatever?
Nowadays, I'm getting a lot of questions to give some tips, tricks, dumps,
Hmm.
question papers.
How will you
Some
give that when you yourself have taken 7 months to pass?
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm like. Nowadays, what I think is happening is in this 2 minute uh, Maggie phase, we can say, everybody wants something that can be prepared, and you can just mug up in 5 minutes and give the paper or something. And nowadays, in this ready to eat kind of stuff which has been come in the market, we just want everything ready made. We don't want to go into that process, go and struggle a bit and improve your skills. You want some question papers, you want the dumps, we want the tips, the 15 minutes tips, the 20 minutes tips to get success. So I get a lot of questions that how can I do it, and what are the can you give us the white papers, or like other kind of like tips and dumps and all that kind of thing. That's one set of group which message me, or I get a lot of queries regarding that. The other thing I get is how can we move to DevOps as being a junior, or just completing a year or 2 year of experience in IT, or
Mm.
how can I make sure that I am a part of a large scale project or something like that? How can I develop or transition myself into a different role like DevOps or cloud? So these are the type of questions I get on LinkedIn.
Right, Dollars. So let's talk about this aspect. So you were working in BMC, you were not a seasoned DevOps engineer, and then you got into NIRMATA, which is a small size company, but is making a big impact in the market, working on their own product, you can say. So what I want to ask you is, in today's time, of course, we have a lot of aspirants who are in the college or about to come out, or they are already starting their career. What are some of the qualities which they should try and develop in themselves, so that they would be able to survive in these type of organizations which are quite fast paced? What should they do so that they are able to go and work in such organizations? If you can help us on that.
So what can someone who just came out from a college can do is, uh, firstly, what we think, like what I used to think being a junior is, you really need a, a big organization or some real time projects that will brush up your skills, or that is the only way to learn. So that is like, it is a way to learn, but not, that is not the only way to learn. So
Mm,
that's what we think, that we need some, big company, some big project, something very interesting, and then and only then we'll be able to learn. So that's not, I used to think the same way, but then gradually I just thought about it, like, what really I need. I don't need a project. I really need a laptop. I need some virtual machines. I can roll them in my laptop and I can start learning, right? So
mhm.
it works that way for any junior out there. You study something, and then you don't need any organization. You don't need any big projects to learn. You can just start doing it. Like, I'll give an example, like in Kubernetes, when I was in BMC. We used to deploy customers in Kubernetes, and then we had this Rancher dashboard where you used to monitor the clusters and everything and all that kind of thing. So being in the team, I was given only those permissions which were required. So
Mm.
I can't explore over there. That's not a test system that I can play with. So I wanted to learn more, but what you can't just wait for a project, or you can't wait for something like, let's wait. That's
I
never
get,
gonna
I
come.
get, I get, I get so many requests or comments of that type where people say that, I want to learn, but I'm not getting a project where I can go
Exactly,
and do
exactly,
hands-on.
exactly. So
And when there are things available, right? Yeah, go ahead,
right,
please. Yeah.
yeah. So uh, first thing is, I thought that that is just an excuse I'm giving to myself. Just be real, just be honest about it. That's an excuse.
Mhm,
That's
mhm,
just I'm complaining. Firstly, I'm complaining that, oh, like, one of my friend, she graduated from IITs and NIT, and like, I didn't score well in 12th standard. That's one complaint. The other complaint is, she got selected in this team, she works on that project. I'm not that. The organization is not giving me that kind of platform. That's second
mhm,
complaint. So keep on giving these complaints like along the way, and then we make excuses like, oh, I need this project or something like that. So I took my time to analyze that, how many times I'm gonna say this thing, and how many times I'm gonna do the same thing. Like, when I'm gonna stop complaining. Let's do one thing. Let's start learning. So I I set up some virtual machines on my laptop, and I deployed Kubernetes my own way. It's an open source. Out there in the market,
mhm,
things are all open source. They are free of cost. You live in a generation where you have everything, like the technology is, you can explore as much as you want. You just need an internet, which is also cheap, very cheap nowadays. So I started deploying the Kubernetes, and I have one master, one node in my own laptop. Then I thought, let's play with the dashboard. Then let's play with the monitoring system, how it works out there. So that's what you do in the large scale project, right? Right. That's only a large version, but you have your hands on done. You can do it. And one more thing I noticed along the way was, in the document, it looks very easy. It looks very simple.
yes,
And
that's how they are written. They are always written for the
yeah,
for the good scenario.
exactly. I can relate one thing. I'll tell you. Um, how many times have you actually, start living, when you start living in your college, or you come out from your home? How many times have you called your mom and asked that, "Acha, ye kaise banao?" Like, how many times you have called and you've asked, like, ki, "Acha, how can I cook this kind of thing?" And she have told you that recipe, and it just didn't went that way in the initially. That's how it work over here. That's how it works everywhere. Like, we just assume that this is something different. No, it works the same way. How many times the dish is prepared the same way it was in the recipe book? Never, I can say. If you are a newcomer, it's never. You need some time. You need, like, initially you're gonna burn certain things. Initially, your measurements is gonna just go here and there, and then practicing it, you'll come to that point. That's how
Hmm.
it is. The documentation is written, it's perfect, it's good, but along the way you'll get some errors. And I used I previously I was scared of those errors. I was like, whenever that error came up, I was like, oh my god, what is this new now? So that used to happen, but gradually I started understanding that this error actually helps you more. They make you more, you learn a lot from them. So you get a
Yep.
lot of errors, you get a lot of network errors, lot many things you just run
Yeah.
into. Sometimes it used to happen that I am on my way to create a cluster and I'm doing something else because an error came in, and then to understand that error, I went like, the troubleshooting just took me to another part, but at the end I learned a lot. So you need to
That
do that.
is such an important aspect. I think
Yeah.
if anybody is there in the technical side and wants to work, in this field, it becomes
Hmm.
very important that you try to figure out the reason. Uh, it is very unfortunate, but a lot of people, when I talk to them, what I find is the first thing. The first instance when they see that, okay, they are stuck, the default action after that is just ask someone, that
Yeah, that's very
right.
common. That's very common.
So I have got questions where somebody has said, can I increase the size of EBS volume, right? I
Mhm.
mean, the person hasn't even thought that let us select that and see if there are options available. It is just given there.
Mm,
but
right.
but rather they think that if you just ask that, you will get the
You
answer. But
will get
the
it right.
problem is they will not be able to develop
Mhm.
that skill which is required to find out the answers. That skill
Right.
people are not developing.
Right.
It's
That's
unfortunate,
true.
right? So yeah, okay, sorry, back to the question which we were discussing. So
Mhm.
how is it, I mean, my question was that working in this type of, let's say, new age organizations where teams are small but they are doing a lot of new stuff. So how do you handle all of that?
That came up with the skill and with this approach that I started doing while I was in the previous organization. I started doing a lot of things of my own as a part of learning. I didn't wait it for any big project or something like that. I started doing something small I can do in my laptop. I started understanding every aspect. So that helped me a lot. So over
Mhm,
here in Nirmata, if there is any requirement, mostly over here the culture is mostly customer obsessed. So it could be everything and anything related to Kubernetes. It's like Kubernetes ecosystem. So
mhm,
we make sure that the customer is successful. And in that
mhm,
process, in that journey, we do explore a lot of new technologies in the market. Whenever something hits the market, we make sure that we understand it very well so that we can make sure that the customer
mhm,
can deploy it, can use it, and make their environment successful or their project successful. So that that includes a lot of learning and lot of understanding and an approach to understand and grow. So that
mhm,
started from back in those days when I used to actually learn and all that. So from there I started this approach, and from there I started to understand and develop the skill, and that's how
mhm.
it helped me in the long way.
So it does. I mean, it does mean that in your day-to-day work, you have to go ahead and try out new technology, do your
Yeah.
do your hands dirty, and of course
Yes.
things will not work in the first time,
They never work.
right? They never work for the first time, right? Uh, and and I think at that point it becomes very important that you develop that attitude that, okay, even if it doesn't work, I'll figure
Yes.
out. It will take time, but I'll figure out. And
Right.
there are ways. And I think one thing which junior guys or the new young guys need to really inculcate in themselves is that as the time passes, this particular skill just becomes better, and
Yeah.
you start figuring things out very fast as time passes. But the growth of this skill is it is exponential. Initially it will be
Mhm.
very difficult, and
Very
then
difficult.
it just goes. Let's talk about this one. So you were working in BMC, and then you get selected for Nirmata. Tell us about your preparation for this type of job change. What did you do really? Or how was your hunt to get this job?
Yeah. So um, initially, what I started doing was I started applying and the normal things like everyone does, creating a resume, putting it out there in all the platforms and all that thing. So over that, like I discovered a lot of things over there in that small, like it could be around 3 4 months of the. It was also I discovered a lot of things during that session or during that journey.
Mhm.
What happened was that I I I was giving a lot of interviews, but I was not going till the last round or the second round, or I got rejected after the third round. One incident actually struck me hard. That was I was just giving interview for some XYZ company, and I was asked to do something in the CLI, like related to Kubernetes. And I
Mhm.
was learning and studying a lot about Kubernetes, but that was all bookish knowledge. That was all, like I said, it looks good in the document, but when error comes, you don't know what to do. So um, I knew my, and like I have done my homework. I knew that this is how it works, and I was able to explain. But I didn't have much hands on the command line, and I was told to do some particular thing in the command line, and I was not able to do that.
Mhm.
So that actually stuck me somewhere. And after the interview, I actually thought about it, that why it didn't work. Like, and I was kind of, you know, panicked because I never saw an error. Because in the ideal world they don't exist. So I was like, what was that error and what happened? Things just went wrong. This is not what I studied. So that rush, that panic, I took my time to analyze it, and I thought about it for a long period of time, like what exactly happened and all that thing. I
Mhm.
was giving the interviews, but I was not going, and I was not able to make it till the last round. So in that situations or in these scenarios, I even got frustrated. Everyone does. So what worked for me, and I would suggest, is you should not be frustrated and should take it in a very practical scenario, like the skill sets. Do you really have the skill sets? And lot of scenarios, it's no. You don't just accept it. You are like, no, 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 I know everything. No, it's not. So I took time and I analyzed it, and I came to a conclusion that I don't have a skill set. I have knowledge, and that has something that is nothing to do with the skill. So I started working on developing a skill, and then doing hands on rather than just
Mhm.
reading and understanding it. And then I made it. Then I got selected in Nirmata and all that. And even in this, when I'm working, lot many times when I'm working in the project, when I'm working with customers, when I'm facing an error in lot of real time scenario, you don't have anyone who will come and solve it for you.
Mhm.
You don't have, even if you have access, it's not going to be always that case, because sometimes you're not always a junior. You need to understand that there is a certain phase you are a junior and people will help you, but you need to start taking responsibilities. You need to
Yeah, that
start.
that that sense of ownership, I think, is very
Yes,
important,
yes,
right?
yes. You need to start owning certain things and understanding them. And even if there is an error or something, that's you should be able to troubleshoot it. And for that, you need your concepts clear. You should have a lot of homework done and all that kind of thing. But every time nobody will come at you. You should be able to do it alone, and you should be able to own it. So
Mhm.
that was my approach, and that was my analysis. And then it worked for me. I got selected in Nirmata, and yeah, it's going good till now.
How much time did it take? I mean, how much time passed in between from that day when you got rejected for that XYZ company, and then you got selected in Nirmata. How much time
It it
was
took
there
me
in
around
between?
3 months, 3 to 4 months. It took me around, and
Okay.
that 4 months were not just that, you know, uh, I took my like zone and studied like accordingly, because that actually stuck me very hard. And to be very honest,
Sometimes it
because
is required.
yeah, because I am working in that technology from 1.5 2 years, and
Hmm.
I don't know to operate a command line. Like I'm not able to do a very easy job. That stuck me hard. So I started preparing for 3 4 months, but I was preparing like all my weekends, and I would just keep on
Hmm.
spinning the ball. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. That's really good. I think that was really wonderful, and this is it is good that you have also started now making few videos, and I will leave the link for uh, Dolly's
Okay.
channel in the description. So please go and check it out. All of you have surely seen her on LinkedIn, and now you will see her more on YouTube as well. So
Sure.
with that, I think we'll end the session. Thank you, Dollis, for taking time.
Thank you, Bang. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day.